Well, David Kramer's new musical comedy, Some Like It Vrot, features two outstanding personalities, Christo Davids and Marc Lottering, and they play the roles of Smiley and Fuad. And I've got the very lovely Christo Davids here with me this morning. Christo, how are you doing?
I'm well, Kia, how are you?
I'm good. Now, Christo, tell me, performing in front of the camera and then performing in front of an audience, I always find that's two very different mediums for me. Do you find the same applies to you, and why?
Yes. Look, they're both two different mediums, and I do love both of them very much, but my heart's always lied in the theatre, and having the opportunity to do a musical with David Kramer and Marc Lottering at the same time is once in a lifetime, so...
Definitely. Now, Marc loves talking a lot. I've encountered him a couple of times. What is he like on set?
So I've heard. He's lovely. I've known him for a couple of years, and it is great to finally work with him. We're really having a lekker Joel, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the run.
Fantastic. Now, okay, the title, Some Like It Vrot. Who likes it Vrot? And what do they like Vrot?
Well, at the moment, Cape Town likes it Vrot because the houses has been packed and people has been roaring with laughter, and it's really been a pleasure to do a curtain call at night because after the duration of rehearsal and you finally get to the show and because it's a comedy, you're never sure if people's going to laugh or not. It's never that certain. But with Marc, and he just walks on stage. He just stands there and people
laugh.
And they throw over. So it's been quite a journey, and it's been quite exciting.
Speaking about the journey, how exactly did you get involved with this whole play? Was it just David gave you a shout and said, "Hey, dude, come over here"?
Well, I've worked with David before. It's the first time working with Marc, and then David last year December I came back from Europe, and I got an email to say that. Don't you want to come watch a show that I'm doing? And I said, but David, I already saw the show. And he said, nah, just come, I want to talk to you. And when I got there, he said, I'm writing a musical, do you want to sing in it? So you don't say, it all happens so fast, and now it's David Kramer, you don't think. You don't think, you say yes.
You do, exactly. Speaking about singing, are you a shower singing kind of person?
Shower, yes. Shower and karaoke.
Come belt us a line for us now. Do anything you can think of.
Well, if you give me...
Your favourite song, Christmas Carol, anything?
Just give me time for later in the day. My voice just warm up.
You're still waking up.
There's a lot of people watching this show.
Ja, ek sê altyd in die oggend as ek opstaan, klink ek soos Darth Vader, so... Luke, you are my father. Or I'm your father,
Exactly.
Do a bietjie Marc.
That's what happens to me, but twice as well, because I've got a male voice as well. Or I'd like to think so.
Now, rehearsals, taking place in that, going through the whole process. How has it been for yourself and Marc? Was it quite painstaking starting at first, or did you just find that the two of you just molded so well together that everything just fell into place?
Look, I would like to think that, what you just said, but Fuad is a character that's been established by Marc through Smiley. And Cape Town is aware, and the rest of South Africa is aware who Smiley is, and they've come to know the taxi driver Fuad. So the challenge was, for me, to actually bring life to... And I always say David plus Marc plus Christo equals Fuad because it's three of us together. Brought, I think, a nice, lovely, lovable character.
I love that. Thank you. Okay, well, we're going to be chatting to you a little bit later on. Over to you, Liesel.
With another lovable character, Kia. I didn't even recognize him when I walked into the studio this morning. I walked right past him without greeting him because I didn't recognize him. I'm talking about Marc Lottering. You used to seeing the man with a big bush of hair. Well, he's completely changed, and Katleho called him R. Kelly this morning, and I thought he was joking. And I actually saw that he could be R. Kelly's younger brother by about 20 years. He is the star in Some Like It Vrot with Christo Davids. Marc, so great to see you. The hair is looking fabulous. What's with the change?
Thank you. Well, there's so much that happens in the show because, we take on different identities because there's so much fun going on in the show. So once you see the show, you'll realize that this do is necessary for the run of the show.
And you guys had 2 shows last night.
Yes.
You're working flat out through the season, and it ends in January. What is the production about?
The production essentially, it features Christo Davids, who plays Fuad, a taxi driver, and I play Smiley, which is a character I've created years ago. And Smiley is Fuad's brother, and he works in the taxi as a gacha. And the two of them, they witness a crime, and they've got to go into hiding. So that's essentially where all the fun, you know, that's where the fun ensues. So we've been having a rocking time thus far.
Now, everyone thinks it's easy. You're going to theatre a week before the time you just start rehearsals. Talk us through the process of you all getting together. What happens from the first day you start rehearsal?
Well, this show was written by David Kramer. And he started writing the show a long while back. And when we arrived at rehearsals, which was, I think, about a month or 4 weeks prior to us opening, you received the script. And David's a great director and a great writer in that he allows you to play with the script and to make it your own where you see, you know, if you think that's suitable. So, in some respects, a lot of the ideas, you know, we read them and we try and find the fun or the funny in them if we think that we can still fit some more stuff in. And then it's basically, you know, 4 weeks spent blocking it.
And when you say blocking, people don't know what blocking is.
Is basically where the geography of the scenes, how it's going to work, how you walk, what you do, when you do it. And but you never really know what it's going to be like, particularly with this, because it's a musical comedy. So with the laughter, you can't really anticipate that until you get your first live audience, when we move into the backs after 4 weeks. And really the first few nights, I mean, I think the entire company, there's such a magical feeling, because for the first time people are experiencing the work, and you're doing it for real people, so to speak, and you're suddenly hearing laughter and the different beats of the show. And that for me is very, very special when we get our first audience in.
Now we're going to cross over to David Kramer now. He's sitting with Kat. Quickly tell me, is he a slave driver?
David Kramer is a very lovely gentleman. I'm thinking about work ahead.
Let's go over to the very lovely gentleman, David Kramer, with Katlego.
That's right, the legendary playwright, singer, songwriter, and of course now the director of Some Like It Vrot. He says it's David Kramer rather than David Kramer. And of course, I think he's the man that put Worcester on the map, native of Worcester.
Worcester, not Worcester.
It's Worcester,
The English
as in
Worcester.
Worcestershire sauce and not Worcester sauce. But very, very good to have you here, sir. Welcome to you.
Thank you very much.
And we were just talking about this right now, where previously you've been known for your musicals that you've been writing, but now you had to work with a different kind of genre of people, comedians. And tell us about the challenges of writing a musical comedy.
Well, I think the emphasis is on comedy in this case. You know, when you write for someone like Marc Lottering and also Christo, who's really risen to the challenge of being a comedian, you have to think quite differently, because normally I would think about voices and the kind of music that one writes for the voices, but now I'm thinking more about situations. You know, what kind of situation can you put a character like Smiley and Fuad into? Yeah. And that's really where the humor comes out of. But for me, it's quite a different way of writing. You know, normally I'd leave the comedy up to Marc. You know, he just gets on with being the funny person that he is.
Yeah. And I'm thinking musicals is all about music, and so you get people coming there expecting to see, like, let's say, Josh Groban performing. Did you have to audition Marc and Christo?
Josh Groban?
Like, ding, ding,
what?
Ding, ding, ding,
what?
Ding, and then have them sing, and then you're like, ah, no, Marc, you're not really cracking the notes.
No, well, look, I've worked with Marc for 10 years, and in Marc's shows, Marc plays the piano very beautifully, and he does sing, so he's the perfect candidate for musical comedy.
Yeah. And tell me, where did the idea start? Because I believe you have worked with Marc previously, like you said,
yeah.
And in 2 specific shows, one that I know of, being the Three Wise Men and the Three Wiser Men. Where did the idea come from?
Yeah, well, particularly Three Wiser Men, you know, he was working with Riyad Musa and Nick Rabinowitz, and they did some sketches in Three Wiser Men, and I think the idea started to really formulate there. You know, this putting the characters into situations, and also because of Marc's musical ability, I've been saying to him for years and years, Marc, let's do a musical. Let's do a musical, and so it got to the point where, you know, he just said, well, write me one, you know, yeah. write the musical, and the idea is that I would say the premise is very much like the old classic movie from the 1950s with Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis and Marilyn Monroe.
I wish I knew those kind of movies.
Yeah, well, I mean, all right, you'll get there. Some Like It Hot film, and you know, which is a premise that's been used in another musical called Sister Act, which has been very. You would know Sister Act.
Sister Act, yes.
Yeah, well, it's that kind of premise, yeah.
Lovely stuff. I must say it could be quite entertaining to hear Marc sing "Ain't No Mountain High Enough." But stick around with us. We'll be back.
Our songs are much better than that. Much better than
all right. I'll take it at that. Yeah. Right now, we'll be right back at 6 o'clock with your news on eXpresso. Stick with us.
Stay with eXpresso and SABC3.